Hey everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be talking about forgiveness, and I write a lot about forgiveness in my Open Your Heart posts, and I usually include a workshop in my retreats, about forgiveness, and I just feel it's such an important topic, and I feel like we are always going through it. And yeah, we're going to be here in human form. We're not perfect, and we're here to learn and grow and evolve. And one of the best tools, the key to going further in life, is forgiving. Because when we hold grudges and we're resentful, we close our hearts. It's closed. When we can forgive someone and forgive ourselves, we open the heart, and yeah, the magic happens, right? I think what we're here to learn is going towards not having conditions, right? And heading towards unconditional love. And I personally am not there. I definitely find myself getting triggered by others and having old stuff come up, and whether it's anger or resentment or whatever. And so I'm working towards that. I'm working towards letting those triggers come. So when someone triggers me and I feel a lower emotion, I'm just allowing myself to let that happen and feel it, and say thank you, and know that it's me and it's something in me. Because if there wasn't that in me, someone might do something and you would just be like, oh, that's interesting, and you wouldn't be affected. So that's where we're all headed, and the forgiveness practice really helps. And just to be conscious of forgiving, and first of all, forgiving ourselves. I think for the longest time, I hadn't forgiven myself for things that I thought were wrong or bad. And so that's the first part of the practice, is just working on noticing where you don't forgive yourself or where you haven't forgiven yourself. Because you know what, we're all human. We're all, I say that a lot. We all make mistakes, and we need to let that go and just make peace with that and have peace in our hearts with that. And one of the there's a book that I read that had a forgiveness practice. I loved it. They called it the Ho'oponopono practice of forgiveness, and it's I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And it's those 4 phrases, and that was a really good beginning for me when I was first starting to work on my forgiveness practice. Journaling is another way to work on forgiveness, and I have a journal that it's just called, I have 2 journals, and one is called the Truth Rant Journal, where I just write all the stuff that's on my mind, and whether it's complaining, and I just get nitty gritty and write it all out. And I write if someone triggered me, or if I'm mad or whatever, and I write it all out, and then I can do the practice of forgiving. And I've learned over the years that it's so important to understand, and and I started to realize, like, the higher you go up in consciousness, the more you understand, and the more the heart opens, and the more you start seeing others as doing the best they can, and seeing ourselves for doing the best we could. So we all are human, and we're all doing the best we can. And if we can look at others, if someone has hurt you, looking at them from a higher level, imagine how, I always say, imagine how God would look at everyone. God is not looking from a lower level. God sees everybody, sees from up here, and sees why things happen, and the family that person was born into, and the things they went through, and then the pattern that they've maybe repeated, and just understanding that no one's perfect, and we're all doing our best, and to have forgiveness towards others. It's a daily practice. We're definitely going to be forgiving on a daily basis. And I will say, it's a process. It's, sometimes I work with people at retreats, and they're like, I'm not ready to forgive so-and-so. And that's okay. That's okay. There's many layers, and maybe it's a seed that's being dropped and planted, and then the next time it's more. And then I will say for myself, I think I've forgiven, and then I realize, nope, I haven't. There's more to do with that. And I think a lot of people who I've worked with have experienced the exact same thing. So it's a process and it's a journey, and we're just gonna take it easy and know that by forgiving and by opening the hearts and having unconditional love and seeing people and understanding that they're just teachers here on the planet to help us, and everything's for us. By doing that, we're going to feel so much freedom, and the chains are going to be cut. Like, we're chained otherwise, and it affects our health. It affects our wellness and our vitality, and it affects our manifesting and what comes into our life. If you're in negative mode and you haven't forgiven someone, and you are feeling hatred and resentment, and a lot of the time, those are lower vibrational emotions, you're going to attract more low vibe events and people and situations into your life. So it is a process, and just be gentle with yourself. Start with yourself. Where haven't you forgiven yourself? I know for myself, I when I was 15, I got pregnant, and I had a baby when I was 16, and that was like a moment. I didn't realize that I hadn't forgiven myself for that until later on in my life, and that was huge once I realized that I was holding that against myself, and then to let that go, it was just like literally like 30 pounds left my shoulders, and I felt so free. So that was the beginning for me. Where do you need to forgive yourself in your life, and journal around that. And then watch when people are triggering you. If people trigger you, what that means is, you go from, I can go from 0 to 10, right? My husband walks in and gives me a negative comment about the house, and I can go from being this happy person to ticked off and mad at him, and then I'm like, okay, what is that about? What's inside here? And then, so just forgiving yourself, and then work on forgiving others. And I created a meditation that's included, I think I did it yesterday, so it should be right after this or right ahead of it. And it's a forgiveness meditation, and I love this meditation. I experienced it in my yoga teacher training, something like it anyways. It was the idea of calling in someone who you need to forgive in your meditation, and you'll be surprised. I just encourage you to be open-minded with that, not try to control and plan who's going to come in. When you do the meditation, you will be surprised who might pop into that meditation. I did it I've done it on my retreats. One year, I had a woman who said she had seen herself on all the stages where she needed to forgive throughout the meditation. So that was just so cool. I'm like, wow. And I've had people say, I was expecting my mother-in-law, and then my best friend came in, or so you just don't know. For myself, my brother, who transitioned into the afterworld, and he died I think 13 years ago now, he came into my meditation, and I was like, whoa, I never would have gone there. I didn't expect that at all, and I needed to forgive him. I'm getting all choked up for leaving the planet so early. I was mad at him for doing that, and I needed to forgive him and myself for I felt like I could have done more to have him stay. So that was a huge process. So you see how big this is? My heart is just like, so huge. And I was crying during that meditation. It was awesome. So it's all good. Tears are good. Healing, let it go. We bottle everything up. We want to open the heart, open the heart, open the heart. Love you guys. Thanks for joining, and I look forward to talking again. Have a great day. Namaste.